Welcome back to A Story to Tell. I'm Lane Ronnow from the campus of Dixie State University. Today we're talking to Tim Taylor. Tim, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
So your initials are TT.
Correct. And
That's like an explosion, isn't it? Oh, that's TNT.
TNT, and my parents thought about doing that, but they didn't want to have an explosive child.
What's your middle name?
Sean.
Oh, so it's TJ. Well, you're safe
TST.
then. So you don't explode?
No.
On camera or off?
I'm inert.
Inert. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, where you came from and what you're doing and what you've done in the past. Start this side of heaven a little bit and fill us in.
I can't think of anything humorous to say. But anyway, I came down from the Salt Lake area about 11, 12 years ago. And I married 35 years to a beautiful brown-eyed girl. We have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. Our 3 oldest are married. I have 4 grandchildren, 1 on the way. And life has been very good.
Where were you born?
I was born in Salt Lake City.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's that place up north that, all the letters go to. Oh wait, they changed that to Orem.
And how did you meet your wife?
I returned from an LDS mission back in '79.
Where had you gone on your mission?
Went over to England, the Southwest, Bristol, England. And
Do they speak English over there?
oh no,
They don't think we speak English.
they speak the Queen's English.
Oh, okay.
At least some of them.
Some of them.
Just a quick story there. I remember standing at my first door as a missionary.
Tracting?
Yeah, knocked on the door, told them who we were, and this fine lady at the door said something. I had to turn to my companion and ask him what she said.
Translate.
So it was a wonderful time. But getting back to my wife, after my return, my parents had moved, and yes, they told me where they moved to.
They did?
Yeah.
That's
it was amazing.
unusual.
It's not like that movie, where the kid comes home. But they were in a different ward.
But they're still in Salt Lake City.
Still in Salt Lake City area, yeah. South end of the valley at this time. And there was this beautiful brown-eyed girl in a long yellow dress giving the talk.
At this new ward.
At this new ward. And I thought she was pretty cute.
And how long after that were you married?
About a year.
Took you a year, huh?
I'm a slow learner.
And how long ago was that?
That was 1980. And so it's been 35 years that we've been married.
Well, that's good. Congratulations, condolences, whatever.
Oh, congratulations is fine.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school to Granger High School.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they've rebuilt it, I understand. And of course I had to walk both ways in the wintertime, in the snow, barefooted, uphill both ways. But
I've heard that story before.
oh, it goes good with the kids.
Well, I lived right across the street from the high school and was late every morning.
I can't explain that.
It was difficult for me to explain, especially to my mother. Well, what have you done with your life? What did you do for a career?
In reality, I've had many careers. Working with my father in a home business where we did HVAC.
What is that?
Heating and air conditioning.
Okay.
I used to, even before, from the age of 12, I would work in the shop making S-locks, helping to do layout to make duct work, and preparing for the jobs that would be done the next day. And then during high school, I would, which was nice because I got to drive a car to high school the minute I had my license, because I'd leave high school and go to work. And I'd go out to the jobs and put registers on, thermostats, the jobs that were completed, and just tidy things up and make them complete. And then during the summer would work full days installing heating and air conditioning. Did that for, I think, about 15 years.
From age 12 to for 15 years.
Yeah.
Then what did you do?
Dug ditches. Literally. Worked with a company that replaced telephone lines when somebody would cut them with a tiller or shovel or something in their backyard. We would go back in, and my specialty and my crew is we would go back into a landscaped yard and ensure that the new line that was put in could not be discovered or seen. And so we would have to, it was amazing the things we did, but in essence it was dig a ditch from the pedestal all the way to the home.
To keep it from being broken again.
Yeah, and to make it look like we'd never been there before.
What are you doing now?
I do real estate with Equity Real Estate, and I also do ad sales for the Senior Sampler.
Senior Sampler?
Yeah,
I've heard of that.
well, you resemble that remark.
I'm only 45. The reason I look so old, I've had a hard life.
I've heard that story before too.
Have you? I made that up.
That's good.
Actually, I stole it. Tell us about that. Is that difficult?
Actually, no, it's not difficult because the Senior Sampler just fills a niche that really gives seniors information that help them. And the companies that desire to communicate with the senior population in Iron County, Washington County, and down into Mesquite, it gives them kind of a belly-to-belly experience because our advertisers write articles that give information, real information, as if they had a question speaking face-to-face like we are.
So the sampler goes from Mesquite to Cedar City?
It does, yeah. We have over 400 locations where the paper is, that, you know, where seniors go or people go, the grocery stores, the hospitals, the clinics, the doctor's offices, the senior centers, restaurants and hotels and so forth. And they print 8,500 papers every single week for the seniors.
How many of those are actually picked up?
That is a good question because it always varies. It's interesting, during the summer we print the same amount of papers, yet we may only pick up 50, 75 papers at the end of a week.
Pick them back up?
Yeah.
So more of them go out in the summer than in the...
No, the same amount go out in the summer and even when the snowbirds are here. It's an interesting thing. I don't know why, but on all our surveys, I do know we've got people as young as 21 reading the Senior Sampler.
Well, good for them. They're looking forward to retirement, I guess.
I hope so. Either that or they're looking for a place to put mom and dad.
Aha. Our kids gave us a plaque that says, "Be nice to the children. They pick the rest home." I'm having one made up that says, "Be nice to the parents. They write the will."
That's a good one.
What's the hardest thing about selling advertising? Or is there anything hard about it?
Well, when you have a company that deals with that population or that demographic, it's really not hard. They just have to make a determination that they want to be in the sampler. And there's many clients that I have that have a great experience with the Senior Sampler. So it's really not that difficult to sell those ads because it helps them build their businesses. In fact, I have been willing to tell people not to advertise in the sampler because they're just unable to take the additional clientele that comes from the sampler.
So they have too many customers already?
Yeah, and then that gives them and us a bad name if they can't take care of all their clients.
Well, that's interesting.
So I'd rather it be a boon to them, not a detriment. You have to be prepared for the influx.
That's interesting. Why would they not be able to take care of it?
Well,
give me an example of something.
Okay, I have a client that's the Cremation Center of Southern Utah. Their business, as it were, of cremation is something that was not really thought well about here in this area.
Has
And
that changed?
that has changed dramatically because they dispelled in their articles the myths and taboos of cremation through those articles and explaining why and how to get things done and what is best for the family. During the downturn, there was a lot of people that could not afford a $15,000 to $20,000 funeral. And so being able to do the cremation became a way to do that and not feel guilty about it. Well, they get 70% of all their calls from the senior sampler.
And they can't handle them?
No, they can.
Oh,
And they have grown exponentially.
it's interesting. I had an identical twin brother, and he passed away 5 years ago, and he was cremated. He wanted to be cremated, so. And it's a lot less expensive.
Oh, much less expensive. And if you can remove the taboos and it still can be a great memorial for the person through the whole setup that cremation can do. It can be basically the same.
Well, the funeral is the same, and so, you know, it's the casket's just smaller.
Actually, I understand they rent the caskets.
Do they rent the
Yeah,
caskets?
because there's no need to burn it up.
Yeah. Well, the box the ashes end up
Yeah.
in. What does it cost to advertise in the senior center?
All depends on who you want to reach and how large of an audience you want to get to. I would recommend a minimum of 4-inch by 4-inch. And the interesting thing that we find is if you want to do hit and miss advertising, it's not as effective as the consistency. In other words, somebody who's in there every week. When you're in there every week, the people get to know you, you gain credibility, and as a advertising consultant, I would call myself, I'm able to help them write articles about what they do, how they do it, help them invite the people to come in and talk to them, and then they're able to gain that clientele. And that's where the biggest consistency is for them, because a lot of our clients will take these ads and they'll take the articles, they'll cut them out, they'll put them in a file until the time that they need them. We've had clients that have had 3-4-year-old articles and ads brought into them saying, okay, now I need this service. So it's amazing.
Well, isn't there a section in the sampler about service providers you can call and so forth?
There is. There's a lot of the businesses in the sampler are service providers, but you've also got a classifieds area.
Right.
And we serve the senior community through also letting them know what's going on around the area. Tuacahn advertises in there. We have a wonderful calendar that gives events and things that are going on for seniors for the entire week.
You say 4x4 ad. What would that cost?
That's why I have a computer, so I can look at the grid, so I don't have to remember. But you're looking probably in the neighborhood of around, if you're there for a full year, about $5,700, which is pretty cheap.
Every week for a year.
Not per week. It'd be, I think, $112 a week. But when you look at it, that $8,500 is very cheap when you divide that into the 112.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned before we went on the air here about your experience in media. Tell me about that.
I spent 30 years in the AV industry. And with that was mostly install or hard systems that are permanently installed, things like auditoriums.
So this is big
event
stuff,
center.
not homes or?
I did homes for several years before the downturn of the industry, because I spent 20 years plus in the large commercial side, and that came to a crashing end an unfortunate end, which I talked to you about yesterday. But I had the opportunity to join a company down here in southern Utah. And when I did that, we had a good run for many years until the crash of the economy.
Crash hurt everybody. You mentioned you did work in LDS chapels.
All over the United States.
How many?
I used to visit about 500 buildings a year.
500?
Yes. And that was all 50 United States and Canada. Yeah, a lot. I traveled for 14 years, 46 weeks a year.
Travel.
Mm-hmm.
What'd your wife think of that?
Not much. It just became a means to an end, but also an opportunity to meet a lot of wonderful people around this nation and to find out we're all alike. You know, people complain about the drivers in Utah. They're the same. New Jersey, New York, California.
They're all
everywhere.
bad, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, well, anyway. Where were you living at the time you were doing all this traveling? Or where
Living-
was your wife living?
Yeah, where was she living? Yeah, most of the people in the neighborhood didn't know me. She was living in Riverton at the time.
Tell me a little bit about your children.
My oldest boy is still in the AV industry. He does works for a company called Control 4, which is a home automation business. And
Is that here locally?
no, that's up in Salt Lake.
Salt Lake, the center of the unknown world. Go ahead.
Yes, yeah, Zion. Some people have called it.
Do they do that?
I've heard that. Yeah.
I'll try to remember that.
Well, it's easy to spell, so it's only a 4-letter word. But he has been finishing his education and recently got his bachelor's degree and doing quite well, and now looking to move on to do better and greater things. Had their first child here 9 months ago. That's why I need my wife here to tell me how long ago.
Well, you should have brought her. I should have told you to bring her.
Well, she would have loved this. Yeah, she would have told you all about her business.
What? Tell me about the other children.
And then my youngest son, he's been married for, gosh, I don't know how many years, but he has 3 beautiful granddaughters. I call them granddaughters because I know they're his daughters, but they're my granddaughters. And then one on the way. We just found out it's another girl.
Wonderful.
And then my oldest daughter, she was married 2 years ago in August and married a film producer.
What kind of films?
Well, he's a brand new one, so he would like to make films that are meaningful and that create emotion with enough action in them that keeps the interest.
Emotional. It must be a chick flick.
Somewhat. He's doing a short right now, actually has on Kickstarter, raising money for a short that he's trying to do to put into the film festivals to gain traction because he's a new graduate from BYU. And it's called The Architect. In fact, we'll be building props for it this Saturday when they come down.
Do they live here?
They live in Salt Lake, well, in Orem right now.
Northern Utah.
Yeah.
So you're going to help him build the props for it?
Oh, yeah.
Who will film it? Would he actually film it?
He'll film it. They hired all their actors, did all their interviews last weekend, and they've got their technical crew all assembled. And so now we're working on just some of the props. And my youngest daughter, who loves theater, did theater at Dixie High, she is also going to help with makeup and costuming. So it'll be a family affair.
Sounds great. What do you do for fun?
Be with family and go fishing.
You've heard all the definitions of a fisherman, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
I
Enlighten
haven't
me.
heard any of them either. Something about teach a man to fish and he...
Yeah, you can feed him for a lifetime.
Well, that's not the way I heard it.
Oh,
Sit around the boat and drown worms.
okay.
That was really, really bad. You mentioned your wife had a business.
She does. It's a home-based business. It's isogenics. It's a health and nutrition business, something that baby boomers are very much into, whereas they're very interested in their ability to have health. In other words, they want to live till they die, not die and live another 10 years. And this product...
That's an interesting concept.
Well, it is. I've seen that happen many times. And it just brings great joy to be able to share that product with them. People have had great success. I have a friend that has recently lost 20 pounds using this product and feeling better than he has done in years. And it really changes lives.
What's the product?
It's called isogenics.
Isogenics.
Uh-huh.
And how could one get some of it?
Just go to cleanse, 4, energy.com.
Cleanse.
4, energy.com.
And you lose weight and live forever?
Not live forever, but you live better, which can make the short time we have on this earth much nicer.
And it's good for young people and old people? And
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They've done a lot of research. The products themselves work synergistically to allow the body to do what it's supposed to do. Our food today, being overprocessed and homogenated and modulated and whatever, it does not have the same nutrition that it had even 30 years ago. There was a study done, I think, at UCLA where they took spinach from a field out there, and they had the results of the nutritional value. And then I think it was in 2010, they did another study. And the same equivalent of that spinach, of a single bowl of spinach back in, I think, 1957 to 2010, it took over 37 bowls to create the same nutritional value that one bowl had.
What happened?
Well, it's interesting. The factory farming, the large uses of pesticides tend to kill the infrastructure, and I'm going to use the wrong words, but it does not allow our soils to be as rich as they were in the nutrients, because it takes those small animals, as it were, in the soils to break down the rocks and the nutrients to create a molecule that the body can absorb through the plant. And with isogenics, we're able to replace those through its 90 essential minerals and vitamins. It's quite an amazing product.
Is this really expensive? Or?
It's really not. It's a home-based business, which means it's network marketing. So you take the advertising costs and you work that through the payment to the distributor. It's a business where a person can start a business if they're entrepreneurial, like I am, and you can have a business and be in business by yourself, but you're not by yourself because you have a full company that's debt-free that supports you with websites, shipping, storage, all of that. All I have to do is tell you the website, you go buy it. And it's like a Costco membership. You buy a membership, and then you buy it wholesale, and then all that additional money that would have been spent for advertising gets paid out to those distributors.
Is it multi-level?
One could call it that, but it's truly a network of individuals that are willing to share a product with others.
How long would you have to take this to notice an effect on your body?
My wife's first system was amazing because I was, like this on network marketing years ago. But to watch what happened with her, she had spent many years putting the kids to bed at 8:30, falling asleep. I would wake her up at 10:30 and take her to bed, and she'd wake up tired. She did this for many years. She convinced me to let her use this product. And within 3 days, it was amazing.
She had heard of it somewhere else?
She had heard of it from a friend, networking. And that friend helped her obtain the product. She tried it. And within the first 3 days, it made an amazing change. Her brown eyes were so bright and shiny that third day. It was like getting my wife back. And since then, we have been strong users of that product. We use it every day.
We've got 2.5 minutes left. What's your word to the young people today?
Stay close to their parents and honor them. Stay away from pornography and a little less digital time, and spend that on pondering time and work towards doing what they know is right, and find a set of values they can live by.
You're a LDS bishop.
Yes,
What's the hardest part of that?
there is no hard part.
There's no hard part. What's the hardest decision you ever made?
I wouldn't say there's been a real hard decision because of the belief structures that I have and the ways that I live my life. It works very well to just know that what has to be done. And the Lord gives a lot of help.
What's the easiest decision you ever made?
To love. To just love.
Well, Tim, you're a very interesting person. You've had lots of different careers. You've learned from all of them and progressed, and you seem happy. We had a nice conversation yesterday, and
That was wonderful.
that was really good. Your parents, just quickly, are they still alive?
My mother is. My father passed away 3 years ago. Wonderful people, hardworking, taught me a lot, and I love them both very much.
Well, thanks for being on A Story to Tell.
Thank you for the opportunity.
This is Lane Ronnow from the campus of Dixie State University of Story to Tell. Thanks for being with us.